Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked? Here we go. Your dial is set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being in class with us today. We broadcast 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 11 a.m. Central Time, right here in Missouri for now, the top of the Ozark Mountains. If you'd like to call us and talk about the topic we are currently discussing, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. If you'd like to listen on your phone while we are live, 712-770-9418, 712-770-9418, provided by Global Star. Thank you, Global Star. Jason is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. Guineith Isaacs is with us live in Australia. Guineith, welcome.
Hello, Vincent. How are you this morning?
Well, Guineith, I'm looking out the studio window and it's snowing. And I'm thinking, the cold is good to slow down the virus. And I've been thinking about the virus. I've been thinking about the GDP. I've been thinking about how they have not been thinking about the virus and how they are going to kill themselves and a whole bunch of the rest of us through their carelessness and recklessness. And it makes me, I'm frosted. I'm absolutely frosted how stupid people are. I can't stand it. I guess it's like this. Well, if it gets really that bad, we'll just go out to eat. We'll go to a restaurant, instead of preparing. And it seems that Americans used to prepare, but we've gotten so fat, so dumb, so lazy, so stupid, so careless, so reckless that we don't think it's necessary. Well, not we. They don't think it's necessary anymore. And it's everywhere. Everywhere I go. I talked to a guy yesterday, Federal Express guy. I said, are you concerned about the virus? He goes, well, I've heard about it. I don't know much about it. Really? Here's a guy. I mean, what's he doing? What is he doing when he's not behind the steering wheel of that FedEx truck? Is he watching sports? Is he listening to sports? Is he playing video games? What is he doing where he's not aware of how serious this thing is? It boggles my mind. Class, so on Friday, Phil Hudock is hour number 1. Hour number 2 is me, tips from my book, and I'm going to concentrate on things I think you need to know right now about self-quarantine, about staying home, about what you need and why, and what you need to do to preserve what you have, make it last longer, and what you need to get right now. And so that's Friday. Guineith, what would you like to talk about today?
There's a couple of topics. One of them is the coronavirus here in Australia because it's absolutely mind-blowing. You're absolutely right. I went out yesterday. That's Wednesday for us. We already had our Wednesday, okay? So it's now Thursday morning for us because this is Australia. And it's just after 2 a.m. in the morning. And I had to do my grocery shopping yesterday. And the Holy Spirit and I know I emailed you earlier, the Holy Spirit and I have conversations, okay? Now, I am a Christian, and anyone who's really a Christian, I believe that they have to talk to God, and that if they sit themselves at peace and, quiet, then they will hear God's voice speaking to them back. And it probably won't be loud and it probably won't be audible, but it will usually just be a deep knowing on the inside of them of what they should do. But it describes this in the Bible. It says in the Bible, whether you turn to the right or turn to the left, a voice inside, your ears will hear a voice. That means your inner ears usually will hear a voice inside you saying, this is the way, walk in it. Does that make sense, Vincent?
Sure.
That's the Holy Spirit's voice. And every Christian on the earth is familiar with that. And if you're not, then you need to ask God for the ability to be able to hear His voice. Well, I had His voice. I was praying Tuesday night, actually, because I was in need of some female rabbits. I had one female rabbit and she died. Okay? So, I needed more female rabbits. So I went on to a particular website, and I searched, which is, classified, and I searched for female rabbits, and lo and behold, there was some for sale in a particular town, which is not very far from us. And what happened was the Holy Spirit said, there's your rabbit. And so I rang the guy up, although it was quite late. He spoke with me and he said, yeah, sure, I'll sell the rabbits to you. The thing is that this particular town was in the exact opposite direction to the direction I normally go to do my supermarket shopping, which is Bendigo. So this town was in the opposite direction to Bendigo, and so the Holy Spirit said, yeah, you might want to not go into Bendigo tomorrow because, coronavirus. I went, all right. And so I, said, anyway, the rabbits are in this other direction, so you go to this other town and, go to this other town which is near this other little place. And then, you can do your supermarket shopping in this town and then come back and then get your rabbits and then go home. And I said, yeah, that sounds good to me. And so anyway, I was in this bigger town, that was sort of next to the little town that I needed to get the rabbits in. And what happened is when I was in this bigger town, I overheard some people talking. And, I would like to share some information, Vincent. I know I've emailed you this information earlier. Would you mind me sharing that information on air?
Sure, go ahead. About
the coronavirus?
Go ahead, please. Please go ahead.
Because I really think it needs to be shared. Now, I should point out, it's not my intention to create panic here, okay? But people need to be aware of what's going on. They don't need to panic, and they need to be aware that the following information is hearsay. It's an overheard conversation, and you are responsible for what you do with this information. But there might just be somebody listening who comes from Bendigo, and they need to be really aware of this information. I overheard a conversation while I was in this other town, and which is in the opposite direction to Bendigo. And there was a couple of people speaking with each other, and they were talking about how there were 2 coronavirus cases in a local Bendigo school, and that the authorities were basically doing everything they could to cover it up. The local news media was fully aware of the fact that there were, and apparently it was 2 Chinese girls who had spent their holidays in Wuhan and had come back to school in Bendigo and begun their new school year in Bendigo, and they had the coronavirus at a particular school in Bendigo. I don't know what school, okay? I don't know what school. This was an overheard conversation. But these two people were, or, you know, one person and the other person was, you know, listening and it was a conversation. They were worried that nobody seemed to be paying attention, that the news media was not paying attention, that the authorities seemed to be very, very keen that this information not get out there. Well, I'm making that information get out there, okay? Because I happen to be next to these people, and I don't think that it was an accident that I was next to these people, okay? But somewhere in Bendigo, at some particular school in Bendigo, I don't know what school, but there are two Chinese students who have come back from Wuhan over the holidays, and they've had the coronavirus. And they have been attending school in Bendigo. I think that that's a national interest matter. I think that's a matter of national interest, you know. And I think that it's not an accident that I overheard it, that it was ordained by the Holy Spirit and that he means the information to get out there, and I'm the vehicle by that information getting out there. Okay? If you have students, if you are at school in Bendigo, or if you have students in Bendigo at school in Victoria, Australia, you need to pay attention to this information and you need to make up your mind what you're going to do about it. I can't tell you what to do, but if you are in Bendigo, you need to make up your mind now what you're going to do with this information, because if it's in a school in Bendigo, this thing's highly contagious. It's where one person can infect hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And you can absolutely guarantee that within 2 weeks, given the fact that nobody has been paying attention to the situation, that disease is going to be all through Bendigo. And there's going to be pandemonium and chaos all through this city of about 120,000 people. Okay? Now, you need to do with that information whatever you feel you need to do with it. Personally, I'm thanking the living God that I did not go to Bendigo yesterday, that I had the insight to listen to the Holy Spirit when he said, no, don't go to Bendigo, go to this other town. Okay? Now, like I said, I don't want anyone to panic. I just want people to pay attention. Does that make sense, Vincent?
That absolutely does. And if you think about it, class, China has quietly become the world's pharmacy. And I'm talking about birth control pills, antibiotics, vitamins, supplements. And where are the Chinese manufacturers going to be ordered to deliver those supplies? Do you think, let's send them to the United States or Australia or Europe? Or do you think they're going to take care of their own first? Think about that. Guineith Isaacs and I'll be right back. Guineith Isaacs is with us live in Australia. We're talking about the coronavirus. Guineith, I had a chance to talk to a representative from a very large hospital and in one of their precision medicine departments, one that would deal with the coronavirus in the United States. And I asked this person, so what are you guys doing for protocol? You know, because if you guys are going to be treating people with, that could be infected, how do you prevent other people who have their regular checkups and their regular visits and their emergency visits from becoming infected? What are you doing? Well, that information would not be released, but they have in place a new protocol for segregating patients. So Class, if you think it hasn't been discussed in the United States at the highest levels of hospitals, that's not true. It has. There is a tremendous concern about the coronavirus and respiratory viruses here in the United States. There was a cruise ship that from Miami, 6,100 people on board, and it left Miami and went to Jamaica, and it was turned away. Can't dock here. So it traveled onward toward the Cayman Islands, where it is right now. And they said, no, you aren't coming here either.
Oh,
so here we have a cruise ship with 6,100 people. 6,100 stupid people. You've got 4,500 passengers, 1,600 crew. Now, why would anybody in his or her right mind get on a cruise ship with what's happening today? Why? Nobody would, right? None of us would. But 6,100 people did. Now, why is that? Is that because they said, well, look, we've had these tickets for a long time. We're not going to throw away these tickets. So we're going to hop on this cruise ship. Now they are prisoners on the cruise ship because Jamaica wouldn't accept them. They were going to Jamaica from Miami. It left the 23rd of February. Now, the 23rd, do you think that just a few days ago, February 23rd, we're only talking 3 days. 3 days. Do you think that people wouldn't know that there's a such thing as a coronavirus and people have been in lockdown on cruise ships already? Do you think that it's impossible that they would know this? But yet they got on it anyway. And now they're trapped. And that's when I talk about the GDP, that's like the billboard example of the GDP. People with more money to spend than sense to have to spend it. And now they're trapped.
That's absolutely the height of stupidity, Vincent.
I'm starting to use that word more and more and more. And it's not something that, was a common word when I was growing up in our household. It just wasn't used. But it is about as descriptive as I can think of. The number of countries that have the coronavirus is staggering. Canada, the United States, Spain, France, the United Kingdom, Belgium, Sweden, Finland, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Lebanon, Israel, Croatia, Italy, Algeria, Kuwait, Egypt, Afghanistan, Russia, South Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau, Philippines, Vietnam, of course, Australia, Singapore, Thailand, Sri Lanka. What comes from Sri Lanka? Oh, I don't know. What are you wearing? That probably comes from Sri Lanka. The world is becoming peppered.
I love my cup of tea.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The world is becoming peppered with infections. We'll be right back. Guineith Isaacs is with us live in Australia. Class, Italy now has 322 confirmed cases of coronavirus. And that's one piece of news. Indonesia has been evacuating about 1,800 crew members from the World Dream cruise ship in Hong Kong, where they've been stuck since February 9th because of the coronavirus infection. The staff will be taken to an abandoned island hospital where they could be quarantined for another 28 days. So how would you like to hop onto a ship, a cruise ship, with thousands of people you don't know, and from where you don't know, and be stuck for a month, and then be taken to an abandoned island where a hospital is set up for another month? How would you like that? Now, did anybody put a gun to these people's heads and say, you will get on that ship or you're going to die? We're going to kill you if you don't get on? I don't think that's the case. I think these people, with their own free will and an abundance of ignorance, got on those ships looking for a great time, a great way to waste natural resources, a great way to pollute the planet, a great way to be in blissful ignorance and have fun. And they did this to themselves. Do I have any pity for them? Of course not. Of course not. Why would I? And then what about all the people who are put in harm's way to come rescue these bozos? That's the travesty. People who had nothing to do with it have to put themselves in harm's way to rescue them because of their blissful ignorance and their boundless stupidity. Guineith, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think that if anyone thinks that this is not serious, that they need to take these things into account, what I'm about to say. Okay? There is a video online. It's at a website called band.video. Okay? Band.video is owned by the InfoWars show, the Alex Jones show. Okay? They set up this site because they can't post to YouTube anymore because the people who think they run the show happen to hate Alex Jones because he tells the truth. He posted a video on his site, band.video, which was apartment buildings in Wuhan that at night. And the people are standing on their balconies of their apartments in Wuhan, and they are crying out, and they are hollering. And there's only one other time in my whole life that I've heard crying and hollering like this from these apartment buildings in Wuhan, and that is somebody reportedly a number of years ago dug a 40,000 foot deep well in Russia and put a microphone down it looking for oil, because that's how you find oil, is you listen for the fractures in the earth's crust, because that's where you're going to find oil. And they heard the cries of the damned in hell. And it's quite a famous recording. That's the only other time that I've heard anything like the cries of these people who've been welded into their apartment buildings in Wuhan. And if you think that if you live in an apartment building in a city anywhere in the world, whether that's Italy, Austria, Australia, the United States, anywhere, you must have rocks in your head. Okay? Cruise ships are apartment buildings that float. Okay? And like I say, nobody held a gun to these people's heads and said, you must get on that cruise ship. You know? If you have got an apartment building right now that you live in, if you've got an apartment in any metropolitan area anywhere in the world, you need to leave that apartment building now, and you need to go to a rural area and start living there. Probably you won't have a farm. I hope you do have a farm. Otherwise, you'll be camping on public land. So even camping on public land is preferable to what is about to occur in every metropolis on Earth, because those apartment buildings are going to become big, long, tall concentration camps very, very, very soon. Within a matter of 1 to 3 weeks, you are going to see this all over the world, apartment buildings getting locked down and quarantined. And the thing about apartment buildings is most people who live in apartment buildings have zero resources. They don't even have 1 week's supply of food in the cupboard. Because mostly they go out and they eat every single day. They find a restaurant and they go and they feed at the trough of the restaurant, sometimes literally, if it's a small stored restaurant, you know. The stupidity of humanity is absolutely mind-blowing. If you have rural land and you live in a urban or suburban area anywhere in the world, you need to go to your rural land now and you need to start living there. Even if you don't have a house in it, buy a tent. Buy a tent. You know, go down to your local camping store. Even if it's a $200 tent. If you can't afford a $200, $300, or $400 tent, I don't even know what to say to you. Okay, and I mean I'm in really basic circumstances here. Okay, I'm basically living on government payment, and my check came in today, and I got a friend to help me with transport into my local small country town, and I went to the supermarket and I bought $364 worth of groceries. Staples, porridge oats, wheat biscuits, milk powder, cheese, bean mix for making soups, butter, peanut butter, this sort of thing, rice, pasta, stock powder. These sorts of basic staples. Were we completely out of these things? No, we weren't. You know, so the thing is, I'm stacking my cupboard, okay? And, you know, it's something where I know that there is something very, very bad happening. My gut tells me that. But as well as that, when I was at the University of Melbourne many, many years ago, I studied virology and epidemiology at the University of Melbourne, which is an Ivy League university. That wasn't my major. My major was in environmental science and geography. But virology and epidemiology is a part of environmental science, and so I studied it. And many of the people who were in the virology and epidemiology class with me went on to become virologists and epidemiologists. And they are now the ones making the decisions regarding this virus in Australia. And I received the same information in my university course that they received. And I'm telling you that this is the nightmare scenario that we were all taught about in our second-year degree course, in the second year of our degree course, which is pretty basic fundamental level, okay? But this, what we are seeing now with this Wuhan virus, I challenge any epidemiologist to look me in the eye and say, this is not a nightmare scenario. It's all fine. Go back to sleep. Go on. And I will laugh in their face and I will say, what the heck are you smoking? You know? This is it. This is the nightmare scenario. And everybody knows it. You look at these long-term food storage companies, and every single one of them is sold out. The governments and the big corporations went in there and bought up their supplies, and there's only one that still has supplies, and that is mypatriotsupply.com. That's the only bulk long-term food storage company who still has supplies available to be shipped to the public, and they have a 3 or 4 week waiting period, but they have the supplies, but they won't have them for very long. You go to Italy, and the people there have stripped out the shelves of their supermarkets. There's nothing in the supermarkets in Italy at the moment. The people went in there, the penny dropped. I don't know what it was that made the penny drop with the Italians, but the penny dropped, and they went in all, as some sort of hive mind on a particular day about 24 or 48 hours ago, and they just stripped the place bare. Supermarkets, they just stripped them. And there's videos of them doing it on Facebook and YouTube. This is coming. I'm standing on the city wall, and I'm saying, you need to, hello, is there anybody out there? This is bad. You need to go in, you need to take whatever money you have. You need, if you've got bills that are owing, you just put off the bills for a little bit and fill up your cupboards. Okay? Fill up your cupboards with as much food as will fit in there. Just go and do it, because that food is going to keep you for when there's a situation where you can't get into town.
Gwyneth, hold that thought.
Does that make
David,
sense?
yes, it does. Hold that thought. David in Illinois, I see you've been holding for 9 minutes, 22 seconds. We'll be right with you right after the break. Thank you for your patience. We'll be right back. Guineith Isaacs is with us live in Australia. David is joining us. Welcome, David.
Yeah, how you doing? I gotta say, I'll say one thing real quick. I am glad you said you don't have no tolerance. You don't have, no tolerance and no concern for them, because I thought it was just me. I do have none, zero.
No, I have to, David. I was thinking during the break about this. There are people who don't want me to say the kinds of things that I say. Well, I don't have any tolerance for them anymore. There are people who vote for the regime that wants to steal our hard-earned wherewithal. We can call it wealth, even, and I don't mean we're wealthy. But what I'm saying is everything that my 4 generations of the Finelli family have worked for, there are people who want to steal that. They're not my friends. And I consider them offensive. There are people who want to increase our taxes. I find them offensive. I don't want anything to do with them. And I will resist every way I can. There are people who have violated trusts with me. There are people who have made pledges to do things, and they have not fulfilled their pledges. They have violated agreements, oral contracts with me. I have to cut them out of my circle because I cannot trust them. If I can't trust them today, how am I going to trust them tomorrow when it gets worse? When they say, you know what, I think you were right. Things are really getting worse, and we're hungry.
Well,
that's where I am today. I'm sorry?
Thank you for echoing that for me, because people think I'm antisocial now. So, and you got to remember what caused me to do that is government, politicians, and feds that I've been around did this for years. So I've been telling people, and they think I'm nuts. And I'm like, okay, fine. It happens to you. I don't want to hear it. But what I was going to call about is I tried to call. I meant to bring this up Monday with the doctor, but we had an emergency right when you went off anyways with Dee. and I'm hoping this signs of something else that I hope it's not what it is. But anyways, the latest information that I got this morning, and I want to know if you got it. I've been doing my research. I don't know why people can't find this stuff, but I came out and admitted that this coronavirus got the same capabilities as the SARS. Now, did you hear about the building where the SARS virus did actually go through some of the pipes and infect other people in the building? I thought that was a joke until I heard the doctor who was on there that actually helped discover that. And he said it did happen, the scientist. Now,
when you say pipes, are you talking about plumbing air ducts?
The plumbing pipes.
You're talking about sewage pipes, potable water pipes? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They came out this morning and said, yes, it is aerosol capable, and they've already proved that it already has been going up into the upper layers of the apartment buildings through those pipes. I saved the download the video because my stuff seems to get deleted. I'm still on my dear old Pops' email, his list, so I get stuff, and when it's there, it's gone, like, real quick. The other thing that they were mentioning, which is people, and I was surprised about this actual individual that said there was nothing to worry about, that this is a common cold. My concern was about, like, life expectancy on surfaces. Now, the same scientists said they brought the virus back here to Minnesota. They've been testing it to see how long it'll stay on everything from metal, wood, cardboard boxes. Now, they've been doing this study. Now, if he would have had any positive results, this is what I take out of this. If he would have had positive results, he would have came out right then and said it only lasted for a short time. But he didn't say that at all. He said we're concerned and we're still studying this on every surface we can to see how long it'll stay there. And it's amazing because some of these people are saying, oh, it's nothing to worry about.
If you talk to a postal worker and ask, have you all been briefed on this? Oh, yeah. So what do you think? Ask a kind of an open-ended question like that. Oh, just, wash your hands and hand sanitize them. It's good. It's good. No problem. That's what they believe. Now, what you're bringing up, David, is texture. What you're saying is that different materials have different texture, different nooks and crannies for the virus to hide, if you will. So cardboard has a different texture from glass. Glass is pretty smooth. Yeah. And temperature has an effect. And this thing can stay alive for days. So you can get a package and get it right from the package. David, did you want to hold through the break?
Yeah, I had another statement.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. And class, let me just say this. If you call into the broadcast, our engineer is very busy. He's multitasking. Just let it ring and ring and ring. It'll get answered automatically. You'll be put on hold. I will see you. And when he comes back and answers, I will be able to take your call. So just stay with us. We'll be right back. Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Guineith Isaacs is with us live in Australia. David is called in from Illinois. I'm Vincent Finelli. Italy, headlines, Yahoo News. Italy is sealing off entire towns and canceling major events after 322 cases and 12 deaths made it the most infected country outside of Asia. Now, what do you think is going to happen, class, to the economy of China after people who buy their products realize that they've been making substandard products, that American manufacturers have quietly shifted manufacturing from the United States and other countries to China? I wanted to buy a pair of sneakers. I went on the internet, I looked on eBay for a pair of sneakers, and I can't stand the thought of these light, ultra-light, fabric removed, material removed sneakers. I wanted heavier sneakers. I would buy them, a heavier sneaker is more valuable to me than one that's made with mostly air. And so I looked up sneakers in my size on eBay, and I typed in the letters NOS. It stands for New Old Stock, meaning, y'all got any sneakers out there that were made a while ago that actually have material in them, that are heavier, that are new, but they're old stock? I found a pair, $328 for a pair of old but not used sneakers. It's crazy. Found another pair for $120 or $112, and these are pretty big numbers for sneakers, because I wanted the older type, the kind that would last longer. I've given up on that. I've given up on trying to find sneakers. That's where we are today. We have turned over manufacturing to China, and China is in trouble because of the coronavirus that we believe is man-made, and it got out, and it is threatening the world. And there's something that really frosts me. Now, there's a trailblazer, and he's not the real, actually, now he's not the trailblazer, but he's one of them. He came on after the trail was blazed. His name is Rush Limbaugh. I feel bad for him that he has cancer, and it's really, really serious. Well, he said something that I had to call him to task politely yesterday, and the day before, I guess. And he said that, his listeners are called ditto heads. I'm not really sure what a ditto head is. I think that means that they say ditto. Ditto means repeat. So whatever he says, they say. So praise the Lord, Rush Limbaugh. Thank you so much, because I wouldn't know what to think if it weren't for you telling me what to think. I think that's what that means. Well, he said something like, I'm paraphrasing, that the coronavirus is a common cold, and it's being weaponized to bring down Donald Trump. Okay, here's what he said. The coronavirus was, quote, a common cold, end quote, being, quote, weaponized, end quote, to take down Donald Trump. So here's a guy that's saying that, if you have to think about newspeak here, okay? So if you put that together, you'd be led to believe, it's a common cold and it's no big deal. We don't need to worry about it because Rush Limbaugh said it and I'm a ditto head and everything's fine. That's nuts. Absolutely nuts, in my opinion. I think what he did was tout the party line to keep the stock market up as best they can, because there's a panic going on, and there rightly should be a panic going on, because this thing is darn serious. It's a killer, and it's gotten out, and it's spreading across the world like wildfire. And Rush Limbaugh said, here's the quote, it looks like the coronavirus is being weaponized as yet another element to bring down Donald Trump. Then he said, I'm dead right on this. The coronavirus is the common cold, folks. That's what he said, according to Yahoo. Can you imagine that? It's also in MSN.com. Do you believe that? Do you believe that, class, that a cruise liner with 6,100 people would be denied port of call because of a common cold? Seriously? Do you believe that airliners would be shutting down routes to China because of a common cold? Do you think that Italy would be in lockdown in many cities because of a common cold? Do you think the Chinese would be blocking their roads so that other Chinese can't get into their little villages because of a common cold? Do you really think that? That's crazy. This is real. Guineith?
It's like this. Whole Native American nation were wiped out because of a common cold back in the day. Okay? So what he's saying might be technically correct, but it probably is downplaying it. This is a weapon. Okay, we are now in the boot of all the Native American tribes that, you know, in the days of Christopher Columbus and the Pilgrim Fathers, of what happened to them. And it wasn't the Pilgrim Fathers' fault that they brought the common cold with them, that our systems are as vulnerable to this new coronavirus, this novel coronavirus, as what their systems were to that, to them, novel coronavirus. Novel coronaviruses are extremely dangerous. You know, that's been proven over and over and over again. I just wanted to say something to you, Vincent. Okay, and I want everybody to understand. I mentioned a little while back that I bought almost $400 worth of food. I want to mention, if there's anyone in the class who has any ideas that when it gets really bad, they're going to find out where Guineith lives, they're going to be introduced to Lucille. Okay? Yeah. They're going to, I've already determined that if I ever get marauders coming up my driveway, that they're going to pay for that food with their own lives. So they better not do it. I just thought I'd better point that out. That needs to be very carefully understood. The Victoria Police have told all of the farmers around here that they are entitled to shoot trespassers on site. Okay? Because of the problem of cattle rustling and, you know, sheep rustling, these cattle rustlers and sheep rustlers can be quite vicious, and the Victoria Police has basically authorised farmers to use lethal force against trespassers. And I'm a farmer, and I firmly intend to, you know, take them up on the offer of, you know, if you have trespassers, we can't get there, you have to look after yourself. I fully intend to look after myself. But like I say, that needs to be very carefully understood. I'm not a threat to anyone, okay? I'm out here on my own land, so I have no intention of being a victim. Absolutely no intention of being a victim. I am a reincarnated pirate and highwaywoman, and I am a gangster widow. So if anyone thinks that they're going to come and find out where Guineith lives and go and raid her place because she's this little old widow out in the middle of the bush, they have got another thing coming. Does that make sense?
Well, sort of. Here's why I'm saying sort of. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek. Because, how do I say this politely? Well, if someone comes down our driveway and they look in a specific direction, they will see pre-positioned targets. And that means that they have crossed the line of fire. That's what that means. So we're not expecting visitors to.
I have to say that very carefully. And I know that we are being listened to.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
And I want for people who are listening to understand what Victoria Police's policy is on farmers and trespassers in this part of Victoria. And I am only saying what their policy is back to them. Okay? And, you know, this is their policy. They say, well, you're out in the middle of nowhere. We can't get to you. You have to look after yourself. That's basically what they've said to all the farmers in the district. And I don't have firearms, but I'm not unarmed either. I do have other projectile firing devices. And I have Lucille. And I have farm implements. And, you know, so there we go. But I want for people to understand that. And I want, you know, for people to not get the idea that they can just come over to Guineith's place and, you know, help themselves. Does that make sense?
Well, I don't think anybody's going to come here and say, hey, Vin, listen, appreciate, your advice and counsel. And listen, I brought some tools, and I'm a really good gardener, and I'm here to help you. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think they're going to do that.
No, I think it's going to be more like, I'm really hungry.
I fall over myself with shock.
Yeah. No, and so what I'm trying to say is that in all directions on our farm, there are targets. Targets that we plink at, to keep proficient. All directions. So pretty much any direction that someone might come here, while we're still here, is like in the line of fire. Now, why am I saying that? I'm just saying that so y'all know. Please don't come here. Please. I'd hate to have to clean everything up. And I was looking up outdoor wood furnaces. And the EPA, around 2014, 2015, decided to clamp down on wood stoves. And they thought that, these things are terrible. And you can burn all kinds of things. And we can burn Christmas trees. You can burn evergreens while they're green. You can burn green wood, meaning wood that has not been seasoned. You can burn dried out wood. And they can be used for if you have animals that die, you can put them in there to prevent disease. What if you have medical waste? Well, the EPA has clamped down, and they don't think it's right to trade in your old stove for a new stove because, heck, somebody might use your old stove. So now you have a problem getting rid of disease by fire. We'll be right back. Couple news items. For Lent, 40 days of fasting, the Pope would like the internet faggots to give up on their trolling. Even the Pope has had it with this internet trolling. These people who just have nothing good to say about anything. So he'd like you to give up. We've said that way before the Pope even thought of it, but we've had it with these internet faggots too. And so I just want to let those people who have tried to send me emails, you're wasting your time because I don't read them, and they go into a spam filter, and the internet faggots have been blocked. So I don't want to see what they have to say. I don't have time to see what they have to say. I'm not interested in what they have to say. And another thing I'd like to share with y'all is that this is a pretty big piece of news. There was a massive explosion last night on the West Coast. There's a refinery that blew up, and it is the largest oil refinery plant on the West Coast. That means California. To those of you in the... No, I'm not. The fireball was visible from 20 miles away. Marathon Petroleum Corporation's refinery in Carson, California, blew up almost around 11 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. So there was a cooling tower that blew up. And what does that mean? Well, Marathon has not said, geez, it looks like prices for petroleum products are going up. They haven't said that. However, if you saw the fireball, you would say, yeah, I think that plant's shut down for a while. And if that's the case, I would expect that petroleum prices are going up. Now, let's relate this to the coronavirus. Let's say people are coughing and sneezing, and some of those people work there. Do you think that they're going to be allowed to work there with other people, possibly contaminating the entire refinery? I don't think so. How about this? There was an Italian bus driver who, the French police surrounded this coach, meaning a bus, in Lyon, France, after it arrived from Italy. The bus driver was coughing. And so the French police stopped this bus. And I don't know the actual process that they went through, but I believe that a whole bunch of people were detained on this bus from Italy to France. Now, class, do you want to get on a bus? Do you want to get on a bus to go, I don't know, or a subway, to get from here to there, and then find out that You're under quarantine for the next month. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean to your family? Let's say you have little children that you left at home just for this bus ride. Let's say you have elderly parents that need your attention. Let's say you have a job and you're living week to week or paycheck to paycheck. And now you're out of work, off the clock, no pay for a month. Does that mean you lose your house and your car? What I'm asking you to do is do some soul searching. Figure out what these things mean to you. And do you really want to risk those things for that bus ride? Is it really that important? David, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
For example, you brought up about the bus, the trains, and the public transportation. I didn't realize this until just the other day. They say over 5 million people a day use the public metro system in New York alone. That's just New York. That's every day. And look at what happened in South Korea with that lady at the church. One person. Look at what caused that country to happen. Now they're looking for 215,000 people that are members of that church. You know, but that's just one place. That's just New York. You know, what if just a few people are on there? And you don't know for a month? You know? The
population of New York City is a little over 8 million people. So if 5 million people are on public transportation a day, that's more than half. More than half of the entire population of New York City is in public transportation every day. Now, if the mayor of New York City weren't worried about the coronavirus, I'd say he's crazy. You have to be worried about the coronavirus. How fast could it spread with half of the population in public transportation every day? That means 100% of the population is in public transportation in 2 days. So, class, we've been talking about the coronavirus and with Guineith Isaacs. David's with us. And, Guineith, I've been thinking about the monarchy and how Harry and his mixed-race wife are destroying the monarchy, and they are exposing the costs of the monarchy and what actually does the monarchy do, and the greed of the people who are royalty, as they call themselves. Did you want to discuss any of that? And also, if possible, I'd like to have you share with us what your thoughts are on the massacres of the Indigenous Australians. They would be known as the Aborigines. Sanctioned by the Crown since the late 1700s. Well, let's just kill them. That's what happened. Would you like to share your thoughts on those two things, please?
Yeah. With Harry and Meghan, you were right.
Could you speak up a little bit? It's hard to hear you.
Okay.
Could you speak up, please?
You were right. They are destroying the royal family. Princess Beatrix, that's the daughter of Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew, has declared that she wants wedding in May with all the bells and whistles. And she wants the Queen to pay for it. And the Queen's not happy about this. And she wants it to be a private wedding, but she's basically behaving exactly like spoiled brat. These people have never done, okay? I'm not talking about the Queen. The Queen works really, really hard, okay? And she has a job. She knows what her job is, and she, I believe she's tried to do it to the best of her ability, okay? But her grandchildren, millennials, are excellent, basically. And, Princess Beatrix, she wants a royal wedding with all the bells and whistles, and she doesn't want any press there. She wants a private wedding. And she said she wants one just like Megan's wedding. Okay? And she's marrying somebody who's not English either. She's marrying a Spaniard. And there's been a taboo for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years against members of the royal family marrying Spaniards. And that's for a very, very good reason. Because it's just been something where every single time in history where a member of the royal family has married somebody from Spain, it's been disastrous. And you can go through and you can play that out for yourself. For instance, Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, they married and they had a daughter, and her name was Mary, funnily enough. And she ended up becoming one of the glorious queens that England's ever known, and she just went to massacring the local wholesale simply because they refused to be Catholic. And this is the sort of thing, I'm not saying that Princess Beatrice and her husband are going to do this sort of thing. I'm saying that's what happened in history. Okay? And because of that, and that's happened every single time, there's been some tragedy or other who's been associated with members of the royal family marrying Spanish people. And it's just creating chaos. It's like they're completely unaware of the chaos that they've even created. They can't see it. Yes, if they were aware, like commoners, they can live like commoners. They can buy a little piece of real estate and actually work for a living like the rest of us do, to build that place up.
Guineith, can you speak a little more clearly? It's hard to understand because there is a lot of distortion in this particular segment from your connection. Is there anything you can do to improve that?
Okay. What I'm saying is maybe Megan could sell a dress or two and buy a farm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, not near me.
I'm sure there's lots of people. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I don't want her to buy a farm near me, though.
No, not near me either. But, out in the English countryside somewhere.
I was thinking on an island somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. They don't have any neighbours. Now, regarding the Aboriginal thing, that was a terrible tragedy. That was absolutely horrible, and it was sanctioned by the Crown from beginning to end. Captain Cook wrongly claimed that this country had no people in it. It did have people in it. Of course it had people in it. But it was basically, that was one of the really, it was a very sad phase in Australian history. But on the other hand, the Aboriginal tribes were killing each other as well. I have to mention that because people won't mention that. And it's the same in the United States. The white people killed a lot of American Indians, but they were killing each other too. So basically what happened was there came this new tribe on the scene, and they happened to not have very much melanin in their skin, and then they joined in the tribal warfare that was already happening. Okay? So I believe that if the white man had not come, there would not have been a utopia here in Australia, okay? Because the Aboriginal tribes were having tribal wars among each other, okay? And, the white man came along and he brought it to a whole new level. He brought firearms and he brought diseases, and then the Aboriginal people got firearms, and then they began using those firearms in their own tribal wars, as well as the white people, shooting them. Then they were, they became more efficient at killing each other. But the difference with the white people is that they were a little bit better at enslaving people than the Aborigines were. because the Aborigines didn't really, the Australian Aborigines, the New Zealand Maoris absolutely knew what slavery was, and they had slaves. But I don't think the Australian Aborigines had slaves. And that was the thing that was really soul-crushing and destroying to the Australian Aborigines, was that the white man introduced slavery. And that was what probably destroyed them even more than the diseases, even more than the stolen generation, which is, you know, the white man coming in and taking away the Aboriginal children, and even more than, you know, all of the other things in losing their land. It's the enslavement that they have had a lot of problems dealing with. And the whole white man's system is designed to enslave people. And we here at USA Prepares are very intent on not being slaves. And we don't like the system of slavery, of how it's set up to basically enslave everybody in the West, you know. If you're out there, it's very hard to do anything, whether you're white or Aboriginal or Maori or American Indian. We're all in the same boat. We all have to deal with this thinking beast of the system. So, yes, the Aborigines are treated wrong. Yes, it's absolutely wrong what happened to them. But it's happening to all of us now. It's like they used what they did to the Aborigines as a blueprint and said, hey, we've got a really good system here for just destroying families and cultures and, you know, wiping whole nations out. And, yeah, we'll just on the Australian Aborigines. Oh, that worked well. That wiped them all out. Now let's try it on for other groups. Now, what other groups are standing around? And then they saw the rest of it. Does that make sense to you? And then they carried out these systems on the rest of it.
Yeah, yes, it does. And I want to make sure that we're absolutely clear on this. This massacre that started in the late 1700s, typically, I think around 1790, for 100 years, actually until the 1890s, 100 years of massacring people indigenous to Australia was sanctioned by the Crown.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
It was.
It was. I'm talking about the kings and queens of England. That's what I'm talking about. This massacre was sanctioned by them.
It was on purpose.
Uh-huh.
And now it's being unleashed on all of it.
So now we have the Chinese with this, we believe to be a bioweapon that was designed to kill people, which is doing just that worldwide. Worldwide. So when you think about buying Chinese products, I suggest you don't buy anything new from China. I suggest we teach them a lesson and show them that we are not interested in this culture of killing people. Who do they think they are? Now, of course, we do the same thing. And who do we think we are? It's an outrage. And I guess when the dust settles and the smell of the rotting flesh starts to dissipate, Lucille's going to come out and work her magic on those who perpetrated all of these crimes on the entire world. I can see that happening. Now, class, I cannot call for that on the radio, so please don't think I'm calling for that. But I can see it happening. I can see all those people who harmed other people being pushed away. Like, you know, I'm talking about the people who tell you what to do, push you around, steal from you, take things from you. I can see that the people who are the victims of them will turn their backs and not help those perpetrators anymore. I think they're going to look at even the little people in government offices that are part of the process of selling your house, your property, your farm on the courthouse steps because of your inability to pay your taxes. So they will sell your wherewithal and take the money. I think that's going to happen. And people are going to remember that. Yeah, I remember my daddy's farm, and gosh, it was terrible. We became homeless because they stole our property because we couldn't afford to make a living farming. Because that's a rigged system too, farming. I'm telling you, class, we sold a cow at auction for 5 cents per pound. 5 cents. We got $17 for the cow. It didn't pay for the fuel to take the cow to market. That was an expensive, horrible lesson. We'll be right back. Class, we've been talking about the coronavirus. We've been talking about the murder of the Indigenous Australians by the Crown, sanctioned murder. You know, some people don't think that killing people in war is murder. I think it is. I think that the people who were involved in the making of the coronavirus are murderers. I think the people who cause disease and death are murderers. You know, we think of Teddy Roosevelt as, as a great president of the United States. You got to remember that he and his Rough Riders invaded Cuba and killed a lot of people. Killed a lot of people with smokeless rifles. That was their mission, to kill them. And we did. So we probably don't think that we're murderers. You know, the presidents of this country have been involved in murder, but history says that we have been involved in murder, and so is the Crown, and so have the heads of governments of a whole bunch of countries. It's not just those two, but it's hard to say that it's the right thing to do and go in and start shooting people. But it happens, and it's pretty difficult for me to condone the manufacturing of a virus to kill people. It's pretty hard to condone that. It's blown by the wind. It's delivered by a sneeze. It's delivered by a handshake, a sneeze, a cough, and it's transported by the airlines and the subway cars and the buses and public transportation. This is a real problem. Guineith, did you have any other things that you wanted to share with us today?
Yeah, they are spreading this on purpose, as far as I've been able to tell. There's just one last thing, so I know we just have a few minutes left. I was mentioning last.
Yeah, speak up, please, or get closer to a window, or whatever you have to do.
Okay.
Please.
I was last week. I was mentioning about the Mustang. Okay, and I sent you an email about this. The Bureau of Land Management in a number of states is doing roundup and auctions of Mustangs. If anyone wants a horse, a genuine American wild horse, okay, for them to break, and these are unbroken horses under 6 years old, between 1 and 6 years old, the Bureau of Land Management in a number of states is doing auctions of Mustangs that they round up. And if they're not sold at auction, they're sold to the dog food man. They're sold for dog meat. Okay? So if anyone out there in the class wants a Mustang horse, they need to get in touch with their local Bureau of Land Management and find out when their next Mustang auction is happening. And that's another thing. I think the Mustangs really, they need to be managed, but people need to be able to go out and be able to round up Mustangs on their own. You know, that I believe that, because this is the people's land. The United States belongs to we the people. Isn't that right, Vincent?
Well, that's what it used to be. That's what we were taught, but it looks like it...
now they're making money off of selling these horses. And that's another thing that's unconscionable. The horses are in the landscape, and I think that the people, if they want a horse, they ought to be able to go on to public land and just go and get a horse. I think that that's what they should be able to do. But I guess that the Bureau of Land Management is counting that the generally dumb public will not go and do that. And probably they wouldn't, you know. And like I said, these are not beginner's horses, okay? You need to be able to know how to break in a horse. But for the purposes of apocalyptic survival, you cannot go past the American Mustang as a form of locomotion, as a form of transport. And as well as that, if anybody really doesn't want a horse, they're also rounding up burros, donkeys, on BLM land, and they're selling them at auction too. So if you want a genuine American wild horse, or if you want a genuine American donkey, burro, then, you know, get in touch with your local BLM and find out when their next equine auction is.
We will do that because Mrs. Finelli would like to have a Missouri mule. David, last few seconds.
I wasn't aware that, the British tried to do the same thing to the Zulus, didn't they?
Yeah, it didn't work. They fought back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
yeah.
It's in their blood, I guess.
We're in a lot of trouble, class. We're in a lot of trouble. Make sure that if you can, tune in on Friday. And I'll tell you what my thoughts are. Above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. Guineith, thank you. David, thank you.